Embracing Challenges, Charles Stanley's Guide to Personal Growth. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving into a profoundly insightful guide by the renowned pastor and author, Charles Stanley, titled Embracing Challenges. As we begin, let's start with a thought-provoking question. Have you ever faced a challenge so daunting that it felt like a wall standing between you and your dreams? For many of us, these walls seem insurmountable. But what if I told you there's a way to transform those walls into stepping stones? That's exactly what Charles Stanley's book teaches us. Let me tell you this. Embracing challenges is not just about overcoming them. It's about growing, learning, and becoming the best version of ourselves. Charles Stanley himself has faced his share of challenges throughout his life. He once shared an anecdote where he had to rebuild his church from the ground up after a devastating fire. In the face of such adversity, he didn't retreat, but rather embraced the opportunity to rebuild something greater than before. Here's something you should know. Every challenge, no matter how big or small, can be an opportunity to grow stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate. It's time we start seeing challenges as our friends and allies, rather than enemies. Now let's explore one of the core principles Charles Stanley introduces in his book, the importance of perspective. Perspective, my friends, is everything. When we look at a challenge through the lens of fear, it becomes a monster looming over us. But when we view it through the eyes of faith, it transforms into a path to growth. Here's a personal story for you. I once faced a difficult decision that left me feeling lost and uncertain. Instead of letting fear consume me, I took a step back, prayed for clarity, and sought advice from trusted mentors. It was during this process that I realized my fears were nothing compared to the potential lessons and growth that awaited me. This shift in perspective led me to make a decision that not only resolved the issue, but also opened new doors for me. Another vital lesson Charles Stanley imparts is the power of persistence. Persistence is the key to breaking through the toughest barriers. Think of persistence as a muscle that grows stronger with each push against the wall. One of the most inspiring stories Charles shares involves his own persistence. After years of prayer and hard work, he finally secured funding for a massive building project at his church. However, just as they were about to break ground, construction delays and financial setbacks threatened to derail the entire project. But instead of giving up, he persevered. He rallied the congregation, found innovative solutions, and eventually saw the project come to fruition. The moral of the story is simple: never give up, no matter how tough the circumstances get. Charles Stanley emphasizes the significance of learning from every setback. He argues that every failure is a chance to learn and improve. Let me share a story with you. In my career, I encountered a major setback when a project I was leading failed miserably. Initially, it felt like a crushing defeat, but instead of dwelling on the failure, I spent time reflecting on what went wrong. I analyzed the situation, learned from the mistakes, and used those lessons to build a more robust strategy for future projects. By viewing the setback as a learning opportunity, I was able to turn a negative experience into a positive one, ultimately leading to significant improvements in my work. One of the most compelling aspects of Charles Stanley's guide is his encouragement to seek help and support when facing challenges. He believes that isolation can paralyze us and hinder our progress. So, don't hesitate to reach out to friends, family, or community groups. They can provide invaluable guidance, encouragement, and sometimes even practical assistance. A real-life example of this comes from a friend who was going through a tough divorce. She felt overwhelmed and isolated. But she reached out to a support group, and soon she found herself surrounded by people who understood her struggles. Their encouragement and advice helped her navigate the difficult times, and she emerged stronger on the other side. Remember, You are not alone in your journey. Seek out the support you need and don't be afraid to ask for help. Finally, Charles Stanley stresses the importance of gratitude in embracing challenges. Gratitude helps us focus on the blessings in our lives, even when we're facing difficulties. It reminds us that every challenge, no matter how challenging, has a purpose. Let me share a personal experience. During a particularly challenging period, I felt like giving up. But then I started keeping a gratitude journal, listing down the things I was thankful for each day. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee or a kind word from a stranger. Focusing on the positives helped me maintain a sense of hope and resilience. It reminded me that even in the darkest moments, there were still rays of light shining through. Gratitude is a powerful tool in our arsenal, and it can make all the difference when we're navigating through tough times. In conclusion, embracing challenges is not just a skill, it's a mindset. It's about transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth and learning. Whether it's rebuilding a church after a fire, overcoming setbacks in your career, seeking support from others, or maintaining a grateful heart, every challenge presents a unique opportunity to become better. As Charles Stanley so eloquently puts it, the measure of a man is not in how much he has achieved, but in how much he is willing to endure. Let's embrace the challenges of life with courage, perseverance, and a grateful heart. Here's to a journey filled with growth, resilience, and success. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Embracing Challenges, Charles Stanley's Guide to Personal Growth.